What if I told you that the person who destroyed my life was sitting at my own family dinner table? What if I told you they didn't just take my money, they took 5 years of sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears? And what if I told you they thought they'd gotten away with it? My name is Sarah, I'm 34, and this is the story of how my own family tried to destroy everything I'd built, and how I made sure they paid for every single penny. Picture this: you wake up one morning, check your phone, and discover that your entire life savings, $120,000, has vanished overnight. Not stolen by some faceless hacker. Not lost in some investment scam. But taken by someone who calls you family. Someone who sat at your table. Someone who looked you in the eye and smiled while planning your destruction. That's exactly what happened to me last month. And the person responsible? My sister's husband. A man I'd warned her about from day one. A man who thought he was untouchable because he had family protection. He was wrong. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. Growing up in Seattle, I was always the responsible one. While my younger sister Emma chased parties and popularity, I was working summer jobs, saving every dollar, planning my future. Our parents owned a small hardware store, and they taught me that success comes from hard work and sacrifice. After college, I spent 3 grueling years at a corporate retail chain, learning the business inside and out. But I had bigger dreams. I wanted to create something meaningful, something that would make a difference. So I took the biggest risk of my life and launched Aurora Designs, my own boutique specializing in sustainable, locally-made clothing. I quit my stable job with just $5,000 in savings and a heart full of ambition. Those first 2 years nearly destroyed me. 18-hour days became normal. Ramen noodles became gourmet dining. Every penny I earned went straight back into the business. I lived in a studio apartment so small I could touch both walls with my arms stretched out, but I didn't care. My business was my baby, and I was willing to sacrifice everything to make it work. Then tragedy struck our family like lightning. A drunk driver ran a red light and killed both our parents in an instant. The grief hit me like a freight train. I buried myself in work because it was the only way to survive the pain. Emma, she fell apart completely. Dropped out of college, bounced between dead-end jobs, lost in her own world of grief and confusion. When the estate was settled, we each inherited $75,000. I knew exactly what to do with mine, invested every penny into expanding my store. Emma. She met Marcus at a casino and married him 6 months later. I hated him from the moment I laid eyes on him. Everything about him screamed trouble. The slicked-back hair, the flashy watch that probably cost more than my rent, the condescending tone he used whenever he spoke to me. At their wedding, he had the audacity to tell me, "Your sister's little shop is adorable, but real money comes from investments." Real money. As if 5 years of building something from nothing meant nothing. Marcus dominated every conversation, every room, every moment. And Emma, she changed. The sister I grew up with, the one who used to laugh until her sides hurt, became quiet and meek. She started checking his reaction before she spoke, stopped calling me, and when I did see her, she smiled with her mouth but never her eyes. The warning signs were everywhere, but I didn't realize how bad things had gotten until the family reunion. Our lake house had been in the family for 3 generations. I'd just secured a second location for my boutique, and the $120,000 in my account represented everything I'd worked for. 5 years of sacrifice, finally paying off. I was on top of the world. I should have known something was wrong when Emma and Marcus arrived before me. My cousin Lisa met me at the dock with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Just be ready," she whispered. Through the screen door, I could hear Marcus's voice before I saw him. Loud, boastful, talking about some real estate flip that would double anyone's money. Emma greeted me with a quick hug, but her eyes kept darting nervously to Marcus. Well, he smirked, raising his whiskey glass. The entrepreneur arrives. Still selling enough dresses to keep the lights on? I forced a smile. Actually, we're expanding. Just signed the lease for our downtown location. Brave move, he scoffed. In this economy. That night, I went to my room to check emails and noticed something immediately. My laptop had been moved. The charging cord was plugged into a different port, just slightly off from where I'd left it. My blood ran cold. I opened the laptop and checked the browser history. Clean. But then came the alert. New login attempt failed from an unrecognized device. Someone had tried to access my accounts within the past hour while I was helping prepare dinner. I changed every password, enabled two-factor authentication, and locked my devices away. But the pit in my stomach wouldn't go away. The next morning, I woke up to my business partner calling in a panic. "Sarah, the vendor payment bounced. It says insufficient funds." My hands were shaking as I opened my banking app. Checking account, 0. Savings account, 0. Business account, 0. $120,000 gone. Transferred overnight to an unknown account. This wasn't a glitch. This wasn't a random hack. This was someone inside this house. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. And Marcus was sitting in the kitchen, sipping his coffee like nothing had happened. My face must have been ghost white when I walked into the kitchen. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. "My money's gone," I said, my voice hollow. "All of it." Uncle Robert stood up. "What do you mean, gone?" I held up my phone. "Over $120,000. Drained overnight. Transferred to an account I don't recognize." Gasps filled the room. Murmurs of disbelief. Lisa rushed to my side. But only two people stayed silent. Emma, staring into her coffee, and Marcus, arms crossed, face unreadable. "Have you called the bank?" Lisa whispered. "I did. Right here, on speaker." The rep's voice was calm and clinical. "Yes, Ms. Johnson, several transfers occurred starting at 11:42 p.m., ending at 4:15 a.m., from a recognized device and location. Your password and security questions were entered correctly." That hit like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just fraud. This was betrayal. Intimate, premeditated betrayal. Someone had used my laptop, my network, my own access against me. My eyes locked on Marcus. "You were near my laptop yesterday. Were you in my room?" Emma jumped to his defense immediately. "Are you accusing my husband?" Marcus smiled slowly. "Your sister's paranoid. Maybe your partner mishandled the funds." "Then show us your bank statements," I challenged. "If you're so financially secure." His smirk twitched just enough. "I don't have to prove anything to you." "Oh really?" I stepped forward. "Because if you didn't do it, you'd be screaming louder than anyone in this room." Emma's hands were trembling. She wouldn't look at me. Marcus tightened his grip on her waist like a leash. And then he said it. Cold, smug, without a hint of remorse. "We needed it more than you." The room erupted. Uncle Robert shouted. Lisa gasped. "But me." I was already reaching for my phone. "Then you won't mind what's coming next," I said, my voice like steel. The second I grabbed my phone, Marcus lunged. "You're not calling the police," he barked, reaching for my wrist. Uncle Robert stepped between us. "Back off, Marcus." Lisa pulled me behind her. Emma flinched, and for the first time, I saw not just fear in her eyes, but terror. "Emma," I said gently. "What's really going on?" She opened her mouth, but Marcus cut her off. "We're done here. Get your bags. We're leaving." "You're not going anywhere until I get every cent back," I snapped. "Or I swear I'll have you arrested before you hit the driveway." Marcus laughed. "Good luck. That money's gone. Moved, buried. You'll never find it." That's when the loud bang rocked the house. The front door flew open, and police officers flooded in. "Everyone stay where you are," commanded a uniformed officer, followed by a plainclothed woman flashing her badge. "Sarah Johnson?" she asked. I nodded. "I'm Detective Williams with Seattle PD. We received a fraud alert linked to your accounts." Marcus went pale. "This is a misunderstanding." She cut him off. "We have evidence from your bank's cybersecurity team. Account transfers, device IDs, and your face, Mr. Henderson." I pulled out my phone. I installed security software last year after a hacking attempt. It takes photos during login attempts, tracks keystrokes, even records access history. I handed the phone to Detective Williams. Here. Clear images of Marcus using my laptop. Timestamps, IP matches. You'll find everything. Marcus's mask finally slipped. You set me up. No, I said calmly. I protected myself. There's a difference. As the officers cuffed him, he shouted at Emma, "You think you're safe? You're nothing without me." She stepped forward, her voice shaking but strong. "I was nothing with you. Without you, I can finally be myself again." Detective Williams looked at me with something like admiration. "With this much evidence, you'll likely recover most of the stolen funds. And more importantly, he won't hurt anyone else." For the first time in days, I let myself exhale. It wasn't over, but I had won the first battle. 1 month later, I stood in the soft morning light of my second boutique. Open, thriving, safe. Aurora Designs had survived, not because I was lucky, but because I was prepared. Because I trusted my gut. Because I refused to let betrayal define me. The bank recovered 97% of the funds. Fraud protection covered the rest. But money was never the biggest victory. It was Emma. She moved in with me, filed for divorce, and re-enrolled in school. The shadows under her eyes have begun to fade. She laughs again. She bakes again. She's healing. She told me something last night as we chopped vegetables like we used to with Mom. "You were brave for protecting what you built, Sarah. I want to be brave enough to rebuild myself." And she is. Marcus pleaded guilty to fraud, coercion, and identity theft. He'll be in prison for a long time. But his power ended the day Emma stood up and said, "I'm done being afraid." Last weekend, we returned to the lake house. Not for a reunion, but a restart. The whole family pitched in to repaint, repair, and reclaim the space that almost broke us. And we made new rules. Real family protects, not manipulates. If you've ever had to cut out toxic family to protect what you love, I see you. Drop a comment if you've ever had to say enough is enough. And if you're still gathering the courage to stand up for yourself, borrow some of mine. Because blood doesn't entitle anyone to break you. And sometimes, the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you, and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming betrayal and finding your strength. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for what's coming next. Remember, protect yourself, trust your instincts, and never let anyone convince you that their needs matter more than your dreams. You've got this.